Welcome to the S50 Sales Data video library. This video will take you through the process of configuring our S50 Sales Data product to link Sage 50 accounting with the ACT database. After you've installed the S50 Sales Data product, you open up your ACT database. Depending on what opens up first, in this case the welcome page is open, we need to get to the contacts view in ACT in order to see the installation wizard for the S50 Sales Data product. So in order to do that, we can click on the contacts button on the left here, or we can go up to the top menu and click on view contacts. Either way, it will take us to the contacts view in ACT, which is where we want to be. Once we get there, the S50 Sales Data installation wizard will pop up. And this is what we're going to go through step by step to install and configure the S50 Sales Data application. The first step is to set your database. We need to know what Sage 50 database we're going to talk with. The server name is what you need to fill out first. This is the Windows machine name for the computer that hosts the Sage 50 database. It could be your local computer if you're a single user, or if you have a server, this would be the server name. Once you have that information in there, you click on your Get DB list. It will talk to your server and get the database name, and you can select it from the list. Once you have those two fields populated, we can move on to step 2, which is setting your field mappings. We need to know what fields are going to map between ACT and Sage 50. Click on Set Mapping, and then many of these fields by default will be blank or unmapped. We can go ahead and click on the Reset to Defaults button. That will set it to the default mapping, and you can pick a couple additional fields to map if you choose. Once done with that, click on Close. So we've got step 2 done. Step 3 then is to build the fields in your ACT database. We build about 60 fields in your ACT database to track information. In this case, we need to log in as an administrator user in ACT. This database, the admin username is admin and no password. I'll go ahead and click on Build Fields. This process, when it's building all the fields, will actually take about 5 minutes. When it's complete, you'll get this message to close and reopen ACT. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'll click on OK. Close out of ACT. Wait a couple seconds, and then I'll go ahead and open it back up. And then I'm going to go back to, once I'm in ACT, I'm going to go back to the contacts view so I can continue with the install wizard. The next step in the installation wizard is to actually install the tab. So there's a video on how to do that. I'm going to walk you through it in here as well. I'll close out of the install wizard and click on Tools, S50 Sales tab Install. We're going to choose the current layout, click OK. It's going to make a copy of this existing layout and add a tab to it. There we go, it successfully worked. Notice we now have a S50 data tab in our ACT layout. Now I just need to go to Tools, Design Layouts, Contact, as instructed here in the red box. Click on the S50 Sales Data tab, and notice how it just says click here to complete the install. We're going to go ahead and do that, and it will map all the fields to the appropriate locations. And then I can close out and hit yes. And now we have an updated layout. And notice it took the existing layout, basic contact layout, 1024 by 768, and put an S50 at the end of it. If you have other users, other ACT users on your network, it's a shared database, you can tell them to pick that new layout as well so they see the S50 data tab. At this point, I can go back to the installation wizard, and I can do the next step, which is creating the connection to the Sage 50 database. So I need to have the Sage 50 application open, which I do. And at this point, I'm going to click on the Create Connection button. And it will tell you this is the first time we're trying to communicate. You need to close out of the Sage 50 program and open it back up. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll open up Sage 50, I'll close it. And then I'll click on the icon to open it back up. And when we go back into the Sage 50 database, you'll see we get prompted for third-party application access. So in this case, we want to always allow access. So I'll go ahead and click on OK there. And now the communication between ACT and Sage 50 has been set. So at this point, we can decide whether we're going to run the link wizard or the create from S50 utility. So if you have an existing database of ACT contacts and an existing Sage 50 database, you would run the link wizard to link those records together. If you are starting out with a brand new ACT database but already have customers in Sage 50, then we can do the create from S50 button. And I'll go to the create from S50 tab and click on load data, and it will actually show me all of the customers in Sage 50, and I can then pull all of these into ACT by clicking on the create button, and it says done creating contacts, so I've pulled those all over into ACT. At this point I can go take a look, and you see I have 154 contacts in ACT. And then the last step is to update the transaction data, basically pull over the transactions and update the sales totals for those records that are linked. I can tell they're linked because they all have an S50 ID number in this field. So to run the initial import of the transaction data, I can go to Tools, SalesData Import, and this is basically running a manual link. If I've been using the Sage 50 program for 10 years, I can then go back and set these to 3650, and this will pull over all the original data so that we get lifetime sales amounts and average sale amounts that are correct. I'll click on Transaction Sync, and it will run through the Sage 50 database and update all the records in ACT that are linked to Sage 50. Now note, if you have a large Sage 50 database, you want to wait until the end of the day to do this because it's going to take a while to run. It could take a couple hours, as a matter of fact, to pull in 10 years worth of transactions into ACT and update the sales totals. In this case, my demo data is much smaller, so it's going to run faster. When the process is complete, you'll notice it'll say sync complete. And then if we look at a particular record, we'll see that there'll be data in the S50 data tab, and also you'll have transaction data within the product as well. So then the last part, if we go back to that install wizard, we did the transaction sync. The last part, which is optional, is you can set up the nightly sync program, and there's videos on how to do that, and you would download that as a separate program from our website, and that would allow that you wouldn't have to do manual syncs. It would basically automatically update that data each night. And that's it. So the S50 Sales Data program is now installed and configured, and you're ready for use. Thank you.